Today we have another Stage 1 deck that Budew makes viable again. We're going to be playing Espathra EX. Espathra EX has a crazy ability in Dazzling Gaze that increases your opponent's active Pokemon's attack cost by 1 colorless energy. Pair this with Pokemon League Headquarters and your opponent needs 2 additional energy to use any of their attacks. Decks are built to precisely do enough damage and accelerate enough energy to do those attacks in the most efficient way possible. So if you disrupt that perfect balance that everyone tries to get when they're building their deck, it can just wreak havoc on your opponent. Basic decks just crumble before Espathra EX, Ancient Box, Roaring Moon, Terapagos, anything that's a basic Pokemon just struggles so much against this deck. It's not even like a fair fight. Against big stage 2 decks like Charizard, you do hit them for weakness. So overall, this deck actually has a really good matchup spread. Like, I honestly didn't have a single bad matchup all day. Going second, Budew can item lock your opponent. If you go first and you're not able to use your Budew, you can play Pokemon League Headquarters, which will prevent your opponent from item locking you in return. That is why we play the Pokemon League Headquarters. Might seem kind of silly to play the Budew with Pokemon League Headquarters, making it so we have to attack with an energy on Budew if we want to item lock our opponent. But with the free retreat and Flittle and Budew, 6 of our 9 basic Pokemon have free retreat. So we're able to attach an energy to attack with Budew if we need it. We do play a very low count of Pokemon because we really want to start Flittle or Budew to get into item lock on our second turn. We have to have item lock. We have to slow down our opponent for this deck to work. It takes so much setup for this to actually get going. But once you get it going, it's really hard for your opponent to deal with. Espathra EX has the attack Psyball that does 30 damage for each energy attack. So if you have Pokemon League Headquarters in play, and with the ability, your opponent's increasing your damage by 60 to even attack with their Pokemon. It's just absolutely crazy how it works sometimes. So a lot of people don't realize what's going on until it's too late. They'll use their Charizard ability, only accelerate 2 energy when they need 3, or they'll have to have 4 energy to attack with their Roaring Moon. It's crazy how it works. It does take a pretty bad matchup into decks like Dragapult, but you can also beat Dragapult pretty easily by increasing the energy cost. It's really hard for Dragapult to get 3 energy in play in 1 turn. They would honestly need Sparkling Crystal, Crispin, and a manual attachment to be able to attack. And that's really hard for Dragapult to do. And then once they actually get set up, it's kind of game over. But if you can item lock them, get set up, and start attacking before they can get their Dragapults online, it's not a bad matchup either. Everything else I played today, it felt really good. I was really surprised by the power level of this deck. We do play the Toedscruel to stop our opponent from using Night Stretcher and Super Energy Retrieval. Your opponents are going to make mistakes playing against this deck. They're going to forget that they need the additional energy to attack. They're going to use that Night Stretcher to try and get the energy out of the discard pile to be able to attack, and they're not going to be able to do it because of Toedscruel. You have to have Toedscruel in this deck. I've won so many games today because I had Toedscruel. My opponent played Night Stretcher, realized they couldn't use it, and they conceded in 3 matches today. We went 9-1 with this deck. Our 1 loss was to Dragapult. It was the only Dragapult we played. We take a pretty bad matchup into Regidrago as well. We do try and offset the bad matchup with Rigid Band. Rigid Band makes it so our opponent has to do 290 damage to our Espathra to be able to knock it out. A lot of decks are geared to do 280 damage. Having 290 essential HP just makes it very difficult for your opponent to knock you out. It helps in the Charizard matchup. It helps in just so many matchups. Rigid Band is the MVP of this deck. I like playing TM Devo. TM Devo helps against Dragapult a little bit. I actually prized TM Devo in the match that we lost, and if I would have had TM Devo, we probably would have won, honestly. We play the Manaphy to stop our opponent from using Trifrost. You can't do anything about Trifrost without Manaphy. This deck does not work if you don't play Manaphy. For Arven, for Crispin, we use Arven to find our Secret Box, our TM Devo, and our Rigid Band. And then for the rest of the game, we're honestly wanting to use Crispin every single turn. Crispin makes this deck so much better. You're able to accelerate 1 energy and then manually attach another energy, essentially increasing your damage by 60 every single turn you can use Crispin, not including what your opponent has in play. 2 bosses order. Sometimes you just want to go after the most optimal target. We play 2 Iono, 1 Judge. Sometimes you just have a bad hand. You want to judge your opponent down to 4 as well. Try and slow them down as well. Really helps when you're playing Budew and you hit them with Judge. You know, they have 4 cards. They have a 5th card off the top deck. Budew has them in item lock. Probably not going to be doing a whole lot that turn. For Buddy-Buddy Poffin, all of our basic Pokemon have less than 70 HP. Ultra Ball, we want to be able to find our Espathra and our Toedscruel as soon as possible. 3 Pokégear, we want to be playing Crispin basically every single turn after our first turn. First turn, we want to play Arven. And, you know, turns after that, sometimes you do want to play Arven as well if you have to. And it just allows you to keep setting up. It allows you to get tools, allows you to get your, you know, Earthen Vessel, Ultra Ball, whatever you need to continue the match. Nest Ball is for Fezandipiti, and that's basically it. Nest Ball is honestly kind of like an optional card, it feels like. I don't like playing it, but we do need more than 4 Buddy-Buddy Poffin for search. 1 counter catcher to be able to find with Secret Box. Our A spec is Secret Box. It allows us to play a lot of one-of tech cards like TM Devo, Night Stretcher, Super Rod, counter catcher, and Earthen Vessel. And also our Judge here, we're able to find those with our Secret Box. We're able to find Secret Box with our Arven. We can Arven for Secret Box and a Rigid Band and kind of get our whole setup in one turn if everything goes right. We play 3 Pokemon League headquarters. You have to have a stadium bump right now with Area 0 just kind of being everywhere. You are a Terra Pokemon, so it does help you a little bit, but most of the time you're never going to have 8 Pokemon on your bench, even if you're able to use the Area 0. You want to get that out of there. That way they can't, you know, load up with Hootoot's, Noctowls, whatever they're doing. Palkia decks are everywhere right now. The energy count is 6 Psychic and 4 Grass. We want to have 10 energy. We want to be able to do 330 damage with our Pokemon. You could honestly reduce this energy count. I think 10 is a good number. It allows you to do Crispin 4 turns in a row if you haven't pulled anything out. And with manual attachments, sometimes you do just start running a little bit low on energy, and you want to be able to use multiple Espathras. You could use an A-Spec like Scramble Switch. You could use an A-Spec like Prime Catcher. Both of those are pretty good viable options as well. I just like the setup power of Secret Box because it is kind of a clunky deck without it. 10 energy is kind of the best number here. We do play the grass energy to be able to attack with Toedscruel. If your opponent tries to boss up the Toedscruel and just put it in your active spot, you're actually able to attack with it. Everything that we have, we are able to attack with. We can use the Cruel Arrow for 3 energy. We're able to attack with the Toedscruel's 80 damage attack. We're able to attack with our Toedscruel's 2nd attack here. We're able to attack with everything in our deck because we play the 4 grass energy and the 6 Psychic. You could play any energy type here. You don't have to play grass. I just play the grass so you're able to attack with the Toedscruel. If you get trapped with a boss's orders or a counter catcher, it does have 2 retreat cost, so it is a good prime target for your opponent to go after in that way. Overall, very surprised by the power level of this deck. Let's hop into some matches, show you how it works. Our opponent is allowing us to go first, which is completely fine. We are an evolution deck, so going first is pretty good. Starting Manaphy, not so good. We do have a Buddy-Buddy Poffin. We also have Secret Box. We could do quite a bit on this turn going first, actually. We have the Budew for when we go second for item lock. Fluttermane. Hopefully we're not playing Gardevoir. I think Gardevoir is probably our worst matchup. Gardevoir did just win the regional tournament in San Antonio, so there's a good chance that is going to be what we're playing against. I'm not sure what we're playing against, so we're just going to attach an energy and pass. We need to know if we're playing Gardevoir before we start using all of our resources, honestly. There's an Earthen Vessel. Okay, Dark Energy, we're playing Ancient Box, or we're playing Roaring Moon. Both of those are perfectly fine. That's why we played the Stadium, to increase their attack cost by 1 colorless energy. It really does just kind of body these basic decks. I know it also makes our Budew require an energy to be able to attack, but if we start Budew, then we could just attach an energy. It's not a big deal whatsoever. We do have Crispin for energy acceleration, and you have to play the league headquarters inside of an Espathra deck. I know a lot of people have started cutting it because they want the free attack with Budew, but if you don't even see Budew on your first turn, you still want to be able to use Espathra the best way that you can. All right, they're kind of popping off here. Got the Roaring Moon. They won't be attacking unless they get Dark Patch. They got the Dark Patch. Do they have the manual attachment and retreat? Doesn't look like it. I was kind of hoping that they got the knockout there. The free pivot out of the Flittle would have been really, really nice right there. All right, we actually have to Secret Box our entire hand here. And we have to get a Crispin. Let's get the league headquarters. We'll grab the Rigid Band. And for the item, probably kind of wish we were playing a Switch. Would make this a whole lot easier. That might be an addition to the deck that we make. We may have to add a Switch Because right now, that is honestly going to be holding us back. Let's just go ahead and grab an Earthen Vessel. We may actually Pokestop here. Just so we can get an item to discard. That was perfect. Exactly what we needed. Alright, we're going to go ahead and Crispin. We're going to attach 1 to Manaphy to be able to retreat. And then we're going to manually attach to the Espathra. We're going to go ahead and retreat to the Espathra. This is increasing their Roaring Moon attack cost by basically 2 energy. They need 4 energy to be able to do their Vengeance Fletching attack. It's absolutely crazy, man. Alright, we are taking a knockout on the Fluttermane. I'm really curious if they're going to be able to get 4 energy in play more than one time. I think they'll be able to get it one time. They could just completely, you know, remove the Pokemon League headquarters. That's also an option, but there's a good chance that they end up conceding in the next few turns. There's a good chance they end up conceding in the next few turns. I'm not going to lie. We are reducing their damage that they do by 30 as well. So they need quite a bit. I mean, they have to do essentially 290 to be able to knock us out. The 290 number is so important because you're playing against decks like Regidrago and a lot of other decks that are like optimized to hit 280. Hitting 280 doesn't really work against us because you need to hit 290. And with these decks like Ancient Box, reducing damage by 30 over multiple hits just makes this card more and more valuable after each hit. They got lucky. They got the Pokestop. But they still have a 3 energy attack cost. That's going to be really, really hard for them to do multiple turns in a row. I'd really like to get the Toedscruel down here. Jeez, they're getting everything. Are they going to counter catcher up something? They're getting absolutely everything they need here. It's wild. If they counter catcher up a Flittle or a Manaphy to be able to attack, we'll Ultra Ball for the Fezandipiti. Let's see what they end up doing. I would actually prefer them to go after something on the bench so we can get a draw 3 with Fezandipiti. Yep, counter catcher, perfect. Take out the Manaphy, that doesn't really do anything. Unless they play Water Energy, I didn't check that, honestly. If they're playing Water Energy, that would be very unfortunate. Alright, we do have Pokégear's an amazing hit. Iono's great. Alright, we're going to Ultra Ball away these two for Fezandipiti. We do really need to get Toedscool down. We're going to play Iono. Hopefully we can get our hands on another League Headquarters. That would be the, best possible scenario. This is also fine. All right, let's go ahead and get the Toedscool. Let's get the free retreat Budew as well. We are leaving Pokestop in play, unfortunately. Unless we get something off Flip the Script here. Yeah, I honestly didn't think so. All right, next turn we have Toedscruel with the Ultra Ball. Most Ancient Box decks play multiple Night Stretchers. They haven't played a single one yet, so we want to turn that off as quickly as we can. Counter Catcher, fantastic. Most Ancient Box lists only play like 1 Counter Catcher, 1 boss, or 2 Counter Catcher, no boss. So there's a good chance that they have no more pivoting options left. I think this match is basically free. Most of the basic decks you're going to run into are pretty much free against Espathra. Like I said, the only decks we really struggle against are like Roaring Moon, Regidrago whenever it gets set up really fast, whenever he just turbos. Turn 2 attacking you with Kyurem. And Trifrost is just, it's not a good time. All right, they got the 3 energy. They're doing quite a bit of damage here. Dark Patch. That's the second Dark Patch. That's surprising. Pokégear. They've had a Pokégear every turn. They've had a Professor Sada every turn. This is basically as good as a Roaring Moon or Ancient Box deck could do against Espathra. They're getting absolutely everything they need. Ooh, they got the big EX. They got Frenzied Gouging, but they still need 4 energy to be able to use it. Once we get the stadium in play. We should win the stadium war. That's a pretty big hit. All right, we'll attach 1 energy here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these 2. We're going to grab the Toedscruel. That way we can turn off Night Stretcher. We don't want them to get free energy attachments. All right. Iono was perfect card. Let's get that Roaring Moon EX out of their hand. And maybe we'll get a stadium bump. Perfect. $360 damage is crazy, man. The reason why League Headquarters, another reason why it's just so valuable is because it makes your opponent put extra energy on their active Pokemon, which increases the damage of your Espathra EX's attack. It does do 30 damage for each energy on both active Pokemon, not just yours. They do have a knockout with just a basic energy attachment here. So if we can find another Rigid Band, that would be great. There's the Secret Box. I was kind of wondering if they were playing Blender or Secret Box. A lot of people have switched over to the Blender. I think Secret Box is still the better ace spec. Brilliant Blender allows you to do damage faster, sure, but Secret Box really helps with the clunkiness that this deck has. Another Pokestop. We may just win by deck out here. They got 4 cards left. They are going to tie up the prize trade here, though. I mean, they do have... If they put back... Oh, they used Pal Pad already. They play 2 Boss. And a Counter Catcher. Okay. So if they would have put back these Boss's orders with that Pal Pad, there's a chance that they could have just bossed up the Fezandipiti for the win. How much damage are they doing right now? They're doing a lot of damage right now. I mean, they can't use Night Stretcher because of Toedscruel. I didn't even think it would let you play it. The fact that it lets you play it right there is kind of crazy. Yeah, they're going to lose by deck out here. We don't even have to attack next turn. We could just draw pass for the rest of the game. They're doing 240, though. That's pretty scary. So they do have a one-hit KO on this Espathra if they can get another Roaring Moon in play. Super unlikely, but I've seen crazier things. We do have Fezandipiti here. Let's just look at our deck real fast. We do have a Rigid Band. We still have the other Stadium as well. We don't really need to do a whole lot here. We'll just attach an energy. And we'll just swing. If they can get the one-hit KO on the Espathra with nothing on their board but a Greninja, give them props. They're going to need to Super Rod back some cards here. Otherwise, they're just going to deck out and lose that way. Yeah, there's the Super Rod. So they're not going to lose to deck out. Let's see if they have an attack here. They could play Pekka-Runt. They would need Dark Patch, Manual Attachment, and Professor Sada. They've already played all 4 Sada and their Pal Pad, so it doesn't look like that's going to happen. How many Dark Patch? They played 2 Dark Patch. If they played more than 3 Dark Patch, I'd be very surprised. I haven't seen a 4 Dark Patch. They keep trying to do the Night Stretcher, and it doesn't work. Might just be game there. They probably needed that Night Stretcher to get something back. Okay, they have the EX. There's the Dark Patch. Do they have Frenzied Gouging? Can they get it? Manual Attachment. They just pass here, then that's game. We'll just boss up the Roaring Moon. And since it's weak to grass, we will be able to take a pretty easy knockout. Ancient Box, Roaring Moon EX just doesn't have a good time against the Espathra. And we top deck another boss. That's crazy, man. Doing 240 damage with 1 energy. Just absolutely rolled Ancient Box there. Let me know what you think about Espathra EX down in the comments. Make sure you check out this video right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.